Hi, and welcome back to the Remarkable Vintage Mavens. We are here today to talk about weddings. Here comes the bride.
Here comes the bride.
She is a gorgeous, sweet, lovely bride with your beautiful bouquet. And Rachel, we're going to take people through some historical phases of the history of wedding gowns and how they've changed dramatically over the decades. So perhaps we should start with this, Rachel.
So the first thing that comes to mind, I'm sure, is, well, that's not white. And there's a good reason for that, Joanne, because prior to the marriage of Queen Victoria, typically, and Queen Victoria was married in 1840. Mm-hmm. So prior to 1840, most brides, and after 1840 as well, most brides would have just worn their best, their finest in their closet. And this is a very good indicator of what would have been a woman's fanciest garment in her closet. You can see the delicate lace there, and then the covered buttons and it's the little tiny lace detail here at the top of the collar. This would have been her wedding costume. Then prior to the marriage of Victoria, women started to wear white.
Right.
Of course, under the premise of being virginal.
Right.
White. Mm-hmm.
So I brought in a really special image. This painting is done by Jane Eccles. Jane is an Ontario artist. And Jane had the opportunity to paint from life Lucy Maude Montgomery's wedding dress. Lucy Maude, of course, is very famous in Canada. Everybody knows that she's the author of the very famous Anne of Green Gables series. But Jane was fortunate to paint this from the archives. And so, Rachel, you're probably a better expert at interpreting this. By the way, Lucy Maude was married in 1911.
Okay, so there's the white, and there's the high collar. This would have been a two-piece, likely a two-piece, likely in silk or a higher quality fabric.
Right.
Just beautiful with the high collar. Just very delicate, very expensive. But I love the yoke here and the delicate lace at the throat. And then, of course, you see the cinched-in arms as well. Very, very indicative of that era.
So Lucy Maude actually married Ewan MacDonald is his name. And this dress was transported to Ontario from Cavendish, Prince Edward Island. And this painting actually is for sale. And we are hoping, or I'm hoping, Rachel, that it's going to go to a very special place in Ontario where it can be viewed by many, many people in all stripes for art lovers. So this is a really special piece. Thank you to Jane Eccles for allowing me to use this image today.
It's just magical, and I'm a huge Anne of Green Gables fan. I read the entire series once a year. So when I think of Anne's dress, this dress
really
comes
special.
To mind. Yes,
really special. So let's move through the through time a little bit, Rachel, into something that I think looked like my mother's wedding dress. My mother was married in 1952.
Okay.
And this is a very much like her wedding dress in the lace and the little embellishments. So let's talk about this gorgeous piece.
So this piece is from the 50s. Again, if you look at even what you're wearing, it's the fit and flare. So very fitted in the bodice, and then the big skirt. So you see in the 50s the skirts really get large and voluminous. Likely there would have been a petticoat, maybe even two underneath to make it really nice and poofy.
Wow.
Note that there isn't a train. It's all about the size of the skirt. The back, though, look at the tiers of tulle and lace. And again, once you put a crinoline underneath that, it really pops. It's a piece of art.
Wonder if it was itchy.
I've been told that they're itchy, but you put a slip on and it's fine. Of course, lace, very important in that whole decade. Beautiful. And one of the things I'd like to point out here.
There's still confetti.
So that's vintage confetti.
That's
very cool.
Just beautiful. I think there's a little bit here too.
Yeah, so again,
which is just lovely.
It's a piece of history that goes right along with the dress.
Love it. Love it. So then we're going to move into a dress that you're modeling, Rachel.
So this dress is 1970s. Right now it's kind of called boho, which is very popular. Again, there's no train. Very simple, but if you look at the sleeve and you look at the high neck, what does it remind you of?
It reminds me of Lucy Maude's dress, the puff sleeves.
The puff sleeve. This is worthy of Anne and her puff sleeves.
It is.
So you can see how 1911 was emulated in the 1970s, just with a little bit of a twist. As opposed to the 1950s large skirt, this is very, very plain and simple, but still elegant and romantic.
Absolutely romantic, absolutely. And then we're going to move into the modern bride. And you have many modern brides that come to the store. So and by the way, you have a multitude of beautiful bridal dresses here at the shop, Rachel, and they are extremely affordable for brides that maybe are on a little bit of a budget or that are really trying to honor that vintage feeling. So let's talk about this one because it's stunning as well.
It is. So again, this is more of a modern style, modern make. Lace, you pretty much find lace in every era.
Everything, yes.
But again, the difference between a more modern piece is you typically don't have sleeves. The cutout back is really popular right now. And again, this is for the bride who still would like to kind of have a nod to the vintage world. A lot of brides who come in will pick a 1970s piece or a 1950s piece and maybe remove the sleeves and make it their own, or corset the back.
Wow.
And make it their own. But you're still honoring the vintage of that particular garment. So this piece here is a nod to vintage, but it's modern.
Which is what art and fashion is all about.
That's right. Make it your own.
So stay tuned. Our next little vignette, we're going to talk about art in terms of wedding fashion. Thank you.
Thank you.